My name is Lily, and today we're going to be talking about one of the most influential and impactful documents of American history, the Declaration of Sentiments. You can see an image of the artifact beside me as I talk. It may look like a simple printed page, but the words of this document sparked a movement that drastically changed the way American society worked. This document was written in 1848, about 180 years ago, at a time when women had severely limited rights. Just to give you a sense of that time period, women could not vote, they could not sue in court, they could not attend most colleges, and once they were married, they basically had no legal identity separated from their husbands. So when a group of women and some men gathered publicly, this challenged those rules. It was shocking, bold, and even considered dangerous. That's why the Declaration of Sentiments matters, representing the moment when women said, "We deserve full equality as citizens of the United States." Today I'm going to walk you through how it was created, what it said, who signed it, where it is now, and why it still matters today. To understand the Declaration, we have to start with the Seneca Falls Convention, the first official women's rights convention in American history, held in July of 1848 in Seneca Falls, New York. About 300 people attended, which is honestly impressive considering the lack of transportation, the social pressure against women speaking out publicly, and the fear of being judged or even shunned for supporting equality. This convention was organized by two major reformers, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who did most of the writing, and Lucretia Mott, a respected Quaker minister and activist. These women had been frustrated for years. They were active in abolishment movements, fighting for slavery, but even in those spaces, they were faced with discrimination. One big moment of injustice happened in 1840, when Stanton and Mott were invited to an international abolitionist meeting in London. When they arrived, the male organizationers told them that they could not participate because they were women. They were not allowed to speak or even be on the main floor. They had to sit behind a curtain, completely separated from the men. They were humiliated and pushed to ask themselves, if they were fighting for freedom from others, why do they not have any freedom themselves? These questions led directly to the Seneca Falls Convention. Now, let's talk about the writing of the Declaration. Elizabeth Cady Stanton made a brilliant choice. She used the Declaration of Independence as a model. Right away, the document opens with the line that almost everyone in America recognizes, except she adds one important line. All men and women are created equal. By adding just two simple words, she was forced to ask the nation to look in the mirror. America claimed to build their equality and be built on equality and liberty, but half of the population was denied basic rights. Stanton was also copied the structure of the original Declaration, first principles of equality and then listing grievances. The grievances in the Declaration of Sentiments include: women had no right to vote. Women had no right to property. Women were denied access to a higher education. Women were paid less than men. Women had almost no legal voice in divorce or custody. Women were expected to obey men socially, politically, and even spiritually. And these are just some of the things that women were not allowed to do. Stanton called these injustices absolute tyranny. Strong words for the time. By structuring a document like the Declaration of Independence, she was saying, if Americans truly believed in freedom, then they cannot exclude women. It was a brilliant rhetorical strategy and one of the most reasons that the document is so memorable. Next, I want to talk about signing the Declaration, because that's a story in itself. During the second day of the convention, the document brought forward to be signed. In the end, about 100 people signed it, 68 women and 32 men. One of the most famous signers was Frederick Douglass, a former enslaved abolitionist and a powerful speaker. He attended the convention and spoke passionately about women's rights, how women's rights matters and just as much as racial equality. Signing this document carried real consequences. Some of the signers lost social standing, Some were criticized in newspapers, and even some lost their church or community. People accused them of being unnatural, unfeminine, and even unchristian. A few of the women later asked to have their names removed because of the backlash, but those who kept their names on the document showed incredible bravery. Their signatures are the reason why we remember this movement's beginning. It proved that ordinary people, not just famous leaders, were really ready to demand for equality. Now let's talk about the artifact itself. The unfortunate part about the original handwritten copy has been lost. Historians don't know where it's been misplaced, destroyed, or simply deteriorated over time. However, printed versions of this was shortly made after the convention, and printed copies have survived, including this. The one you're seeing behind me is one of the earliest paintings. One of the most influential surviving copies is held in the Library of Congress, in the Rare Books and Special Collections Division. They preserved it carefully with controlled lighting, temperature, humidity, so it doesn't decay. Having the artifact preserved means students, historians, and the public can connect with the exact words that separated and sparked the women's rights movement. It also serves as a reminder of how the country has come. The one you're seeing behind me is one of the early printings. The most significant surviving copies is held in the Library of Congress and the Rare Book and Special Collections Division. They preserved it carefully with controlled lighting, temperatures, and humidity so it doesn't decay. Having this artifact preserved means more students, historians, and the public can still connect with the exact words that sparked the women's rights movement. It also served as a reminder of how far the country has come and how far they can still go. When the Declaration of Sentiments first appeared, people did not celebrate. Newspaper editors mocked it, critics called it the idea of women's voting ridiculous or dangerous. Many people believed that society would fall apart if more women had political powers. Despite the ridicule, the document planted the seeds of a massive movement. After Seneca Falls, more conventions were held around the century. Women began organizations, writing speeches, publishing newspapers, and demanding equality in public life. This movement equally led to the creation of women's clubs, suffrage organizations, and political communities. Leaders like Susan B. Anthony, Susan Truth, Lucy Stone, and many others picked up on this momentum. All of this organizing, all the decades of effort, eventually led to the 19th Amendment, passed in 1920, which granted women the right to vote. Imagine what we would have if we did not have this Declaration of Sentiments. The victory can be traced back directly to the Declaration of Sentiments. And the influence didn't start there. Ideas of this document inspired later movements for equality in education, employment, politics, and even the feminist movements of 1960 and 1970s. Its impact is still felt today whenever people talk about equal rights, representation, or justice. The Declaration of Sentiments still show up in discussions about gender equality because its message is universal. A democratic society cannot function if half of its population is denied equal access. So to wrap it up, the Declaration of Sentiments was much more than a document from an old convention. It was courageous, revolutionary demand for equal equality at a time when speaking out put people's reputations and safety at risk. It stands as a reminder that change often begins with ordinary people standing up and saying, "This is not fair," and it must change. Thank you for listening, and I hope this helps you understand why this artifact is such a powerful and important part of American history. As well as I hope you learned something about the Declaration of Sentiments today and that you had a great time watching this video. Thank you. Have a nice day.